Hi, I'm Greg Weinheimer, Product Manager for Focus for the Mainframe. What I'm going to demonstrate today is the ability to send output of a Focus report via email using EtaMail. This demo is going to consist of two parts. The first is configuring the Focus Studio environment to set it up to be able to send emails. And then the second part is going to be an example of a report that will be attached to an email and sent after successful execution of that report. To configure the use of an email server on the Focus Studio server, you start by going to Tools and then selecting Workspace. From Workspace, go to the Settings, then Workspace Set, SMTP Server Settings. There are three pieces of information that are required when configuring this for Focus Studio. The first is the SMTP host. This is the SMTP mail server location. The second thing is the SMTP port, which is normally going to be 25. That's the default. And the third piece of information that is required is the sender's email address. Once you have all that information entered, you can hit save, and you now have your SMTP server configured on Focus Studio. Now that we have the configuration done for the SMTP server, we can work on the report. We return to the application page by left-clicking on the IBI Focus Studio icon. This brings us back to the application page. From the application page, we right-click on the folder we want to create the report on, select New and Procedure. I've created a FocExec that creates a report as an attachment to an email that I'm going to paste into this procedure I've just created, and we'll review the steps in this FocExec. The first thing you'll notice in this FocExec is that we're using the app hold command to put the output from this table request into the demo1 folder. The table request is simply tabling car, printing a couple fields, and then holding that output in format XSLX as cart. I'm then checking the amperlines variable, and if it's greater than 0, I know that I got data back from my report, and I'm sending that to good report. If the amperlines is less than or equal to 0, I'm going to no report. If this is a good report, I execute EtaMail, sending an email to the Tibco email here from the Focus Studio at tibco.com email with the subject of good report. I also attach the cart Excel spreadsheet to the email. I then go to bottom after that, which skips the next part. If there is no report, if there's less than or equal to 0 rows, I run EtaMail to this ID or this email address from Focus Studio tibco.com with the subject that report is failed. Next thing I'm going to do is save this FEX as send email. And I'll say OK. And now we're going to run it. When we run this, we'll see that it has run successfully. Now that we know that it's run successfully, let's go ahead and see if we got an email. Yes, we get an email from Focus Studio. It has an attachment. That attachment is an Excel spreadsheet, and it is our output from our report. Next, Let's go back to our console, put an error in the report, a field that doesn't exist, save it, run it again, and we see that there is an error. We'll go back and check to see if we get an email, and sure enough, we get an email that the report has failed. That is the demo of executing EditMail from Focus Studio.